Welcome back to the HGC Dignitas. It's continuing to prove why they are the best here in Europe. They are up 2-0 over our number 2 seed, Team Liquid. Caldor, can Team Liquid turn this around?
I actually decided, and you're the first to hear about that, so
okay.
yeah, I decided that we're going to change the way that BlizzCon works this year.
Yeah.
We're only going to invite 2 teams.
Okay.
HGC and Dignitas. We're going to play a best of 42.
Okay.
And yeah, going to run that for like an entire week. That's how it goes.
That'd be fun. What is that, like 10 games a day? Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be good.
So like 2 teams going up against each other. It's going to be like the mid-season brawl finals.
Opening week.
Not surprised, by the way, that you didn't ask me how the 32 comes to pass, because that actually doesn't work in the best of, but okay, no matter what. But
when you throw out numbers, man, you just got to agree with it, you know?
Yeah.
You don't ever fight that kind of stuff.
42 is the answer to everything, as we all know, so that's where that comes from. Thanks for asking, thanks for playing, I appreciate it.
There was a movie with Jim Carrey about that, actually. Let's go ahead and go into better.
There's also a book.
The movie's better.
Get out.
Like, it's the truth with all movies. All movies are better than the
Can we please get a replacement? That was the final straw. I am done.
I just think I think that was actually 23. That was a movie name with Jim Carrey. It's not even close. Dragonshire!
Yeah, I'm like, I don't think that Jim Carrey plays in that movie, but even that's just to mention that the movie's better than the book.
It's like the one scary movie that Jim Carrey did. Like, he had 23 tattooed all over his body. He was like a savage. It was weird, man.
Why 23?
I think it was
what does 23
I think it had to do with like religion and stuff. Not to get too deep into it, but like it was like a number that was like the answer to all problems.
No, that's still 42.
Might be. Sure.
What do you mean might be? That's proven. We have a book about it.
All right.
It's a guide.
I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, you should. It's your kind of humor. You have no idea what you're talking about.
I don't.
About. That makes
I have no knowledge whatsoever about this number 42 and it being the answer to problems, but I'm willing to commit to learning about it.
But you heard about Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy.
Yeah.
Okay, thank God.
Dude, I actually played that game, the text-based game. Have you played that one, the early rendition of it?
I've seen I had it installed once on an old one, but yeah. By the way, like what I'm working with here, like this guy, for all the knowledge he has about like new video games that comes out and some movies that are out there, he has zero clue about anything that is remotely nostalgic. Monkey Island? Never heard of that. Shawshank Redemption? Huh? What's
Well, I watched that. That was a good movie.
After
really
I pestered you for like a month or something.
When I was a kid, man, my parents just didn't let me do things, man. I mean, it kind of explains why I'm why I am, right? Like,
and then when you... Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
You see, right? Like,
going away from that. But even afterwards, you don't look at like the lists and see like, oh my God, this movie is the #1 of every single list of great movies to watch. Maybe I should check it out.
I'm still getting there. Like Indiana Jones, I've watched now.
It's good.
It was enjoyable. It reminded me of Tomb Raider, but I
see the Red of October. You still have to watch that.
That'll be next.
Dead Poets Society is another one.
Oliver and Company.
Yeah, and also more Dignitas games because they are always a classic.
They are always a classic. That is true. As we have Maiev, Yrel, Bandal, Yrel typical on Dragonshire.
What is segue?
And Brax's holdout. That was a good one.
God.
Gosh, you're just so good at your job, California. When we all grow up, we want to be just like you, man.
That's the reason why Blizzard hired me. They're like, you know, we need a guy that can create a couple of segues out of the most impossible situation. And I was like, who could we come up with? So yeah. All right. Yrel banned out by Team Dignitas actually for Dragonshire. The reason being pretty simple. Team Liquid has first pick here. So some people might ask, why would Dignitas ban their most played hero on the map out themselves? And the reason is simply that with them not having first pick, they're afraid that Liquid picks it away from them. I'm not even quite sure if that would have happened. But still, we have the Haka now taken for Liquid as they have that available. Noteworthy that there's a couple of heroes that have not been banned out. Diablo, not the same priority on Dragonshire as there's in other maps. Still likely that he pops up. There he is. Medivh, another one that hasn't been banned out. We are still looking towards Deckard Cain. So, great opening for Dignitas, despite the fact that they banned out Yrel. But for the offlane, we still can have them with Blaze.
I mean, speaking about a classic, Medivh Diablo was a composition that was played often towards the end of Phase 1, Part 2.
Yep.
Being able to have the ability for Diablo to go in and force a fight, have an out on any avenue they would like was always a fun one to watch. What? Team Liquid? They're bringing back the Abbott there. He'll come in as a second pick with Junkrat to follow up.
I am excited. I want to see if Dignitas is following that up with... Actually, can they? So my thought process when I seen Abathar is immediately now that many teams are starting to play Vikings into Abathar, Asmodan into Abathar, any heroes that exploit his weaknesses quite heavily. That isn't necessarily something that you have to do, but we have seen the trend towards that a lot more. But Medivh is already picked, so I don't think that we're going to see any of these picks popping up for Team Dignitas. That would make the draft a little bit awkward on their part. So we're going to see most likely something very standard. But the Abathar pick alone already spices things up, and I really like that. The Haka Abathar can be so annoying when he digs on any lane and has a symbiote right away. It's really terrifying.
Gives him a chance to also do well in the top lane too, especially without Urel being banned here. Diaka should be able to shut down that top lane. I'm actually kind of curious to see what Dignitas is going to rotate into. We've gotten a little bit more Malthael from Wubby lately, which is interesting because he's used to not really enjoy Malthael as much. He was pretty vocal about that.
I'm surprised that Blaze isn't banned out. Phoenix will ban over Blaze. I mean, you want to deny some of the synergies that Phoenix offers with the heroes that Dignitas has. I get that. But I really expected them to go and try to ban out one of the offlane heroes. But Dignitas moving into Zeratul either way. God, if Wubby goes Abathar hunting, that would be fun.
That would be fun. I doubt he'll be able to pull that off, though.
Yeah, I doubt it too. Like, oftentimes when you're really, first of all that, and also when you're starting to invest a lot of time trying to search for Abathar and trying to hunt him down, oftentimes it's just time that's not really worth it in the big scheme of things.
The only way it's worth it is if you are doing it as Nova, because that's the only way she can be useful as a hero. That's hunting down Abathar.
I heard that actually, yeah.
So if you ever do pick Nova, make sure it's into an Abathar. Karazim and Muradin will be that 4th and 5th pickup. Team Dignitas waiting on the support here on the right. What support are they looking for here?
Oh, we haven't even seen the old man yet.
Yeah,
that surprised me more so than anything else. Good old Deckard isn't here, but with that setup, I wouldn't really blame them if they go into even a mouth. But Deckard Kane, still a bit too strong. All right, Zeratul for the top lane. I mean, this top lane is going to be a nightmare no matter who you are, because you all already go up against, with Urel banned out against the Dehaka, which is fantastic here.
Yeah.
And there's an Abathar. You can't win that lane anyways. The only thing that you do is your opponent pushes it in, you soak the experience. You're just basically a soak bot at the beginning. There's nothing worse that you are thinking, okay, I can win my one-on-one on the top lane, you engage in a one-on-one, you nearly win it, and all of a sudden that symbiote pops up and you're like, and I'm dead.
And now I wait.
Shouldn't have been there in the first place, and now I have to back off again. So.
I also really enjoy when you have an Abathar come in. Occasionally, right, when you're able to switch into your draft to make sure that you're picking up heroes that bode well with him, and that's going to be true here with Karazim, Dehaka, and of course Muradin as well, being able to jump in that back line. Would have been the full chair at the top if maybe we got a Greymane or something there instead of the Junkrat, but Junkrat's obviously here to bring out that wave clear. But I always enjoy that. I
honestly also really don't want to have Lightning Breath. I know you talked already a bit about potential synergies with Medivh, but now we have a VP, we have a potential Leyline, we have an APOC, and APOC into Arrow as well from Hanzo's side. I really want Apocalypse here.
Well, let's go into it here. On the left side, in the blue, Team Liquid. Hasawabs on Abathar, Eternal on Dehaka, Sport Billy on Muradin, Arcaner on Junkrat, and Nurok to deliver a few punches with Karazim.
And to the right side, Team Dignitas with Wubby today on Zeratul. Going full old school here. Snitch finds himself on Medivh. Poik on the range damage. Hanzo for him once again with JPL rocking Diablo, and Deckard Kane played by Azalea. Team Dignitas, ladies and gentlemen, currently playing like they are from a different planet, as we said last week already. Search for the aliens is over. We found them.
What? You're still sold on this.
Yes, I am. Dude, look at how they play. This is the #1 going up against the #2 in Europe right now, and Team Dignitas is just slapping Liquid around. You can't tell me that these guys aren't on another level.
I think you just secretly hope that aliens are real.
What do you mean, oh, I know. I work with you every weekend.
That's true. That is a good point.
You're from a different planet than Dignitas, but you're definitely not from this one.
Tongue straight on top of Hanzo. Poik. Oh, he got the natural agility. Sport Billy came over, was trying to cut him off. Azalea was there to block any type of attempt to do that. Dignitas is able to survive.
What would the planet that Dignitas is from be called? Got Good?
Got Good? I like Wowie Planet.
The Wowie Planet?
Yeah. Everyone there is just always excited and happy. They all wake up with perfect hair.
Fair enough. Doesn't quite explain the skill level, but okay, I'll take it.
And how it's powered is they took all of Wubby's emotions. And that's why he's the way he is. It took his soul.
He sacrificed for
He
the greater
sacrificed
good.
his emotions for the rest of the people on the planet.
That just reminds me of the Fnatic boy band video where he just stands in the background, never says a single word. Just
Did I tell you what happened when I hugged Wubby?
Please go
We
ahead.
grabbed dinner after the Western Clash, and I was saying bye to all the Dig folks because they were all going to sleep. They had flights the next morning, and Wubby was the only one that I hadn't hugged. And I actually haven't talked much to Wubby. So I walked up and I was like, I'm going to give you a hug. Bye, man. Thanks for hanging out with you. And he kind of like halfway gave me a half hug with one of his arms and was like, thank you. And that was it. I didn't know what to do with that, right?
Classic Whoopi. Oh, brutal. What's also brutal is that Whoopi actually died. Whoopi just got taken out. That's the Haka together with the Abathur that you have there. So we had a kill against Zeratul here. And all Whoopi stories and the lack of emotion aside, we actually see Team Liquid coming out onto map number 3 with a bit of a first blood here and some pressure play. Now, Dignitas is 5-0 on this map. Actually, sorry, they are 3-0 on this map, and Team Liquid is 4-0 on Dragonshire. So both of the teams are still undefeated here. It's definitely one of the better maps for Team Liquid. Dignitas picked it, though, with the confidence they have here. But the early game, at least for now, is going a lot better for Team Liquid than the previous few maps did.
Yeah, that top lane's gonna be really annoying for Zeratul. I mean, you have Abathur mines all over the place too, so you can't even sneak around and it's soak safely. You're just cleaving the waves, and you can't really do much until you get Wormhole at level 7. So you're gonna see him doing his best just to dance around, but you can usually expect a couple of deaths if you're Zeratul running against that lane, especially against the Abathur hat. But hang on, another death might happen here as Snitch is the next target. Team Liquid coming out to fight here in game number 3.
Coming out swinging, the reset also on the stack progress for Medivh. But we talked a lot about the synergies that Team Dignitas has here with the Void Prison, a Hanzo Arrow, and even the Leyline Seal into the possible Apocalypse from Diablo that we could see here. Let's talk a bit about Liquid. We mentioned earlier how Abathur really offsets the power battle and struggle on the top lane in the one-on-one situation, that you basically cannot win that lane anymore with Abathur helping out with the Symbiote. That's not the only reason. Why was Kerosene picked? There's 2 reasons for it. First of all, we have a Diablo on the other side, where with the 7-sided you can put enormous pressure onto him, especially if you can isolate him with a Junkrat and have him completely alone. That 7-sided is a huge threat to JPL. But most importantly also, if you have an Abathur hat on top of Kerosene, he becomes an absolute monster jumping on heroes like Hanzo.
Just puts out so much damage so quickly, and then you have the hat down on top of that. I mean, typically in a quick 1v1, if you have that Iron Fist, you can shred Assassin. Speaking about shredding, Thernal will be the next target here for Team Dignitas. 4 come to the top lane. Thernal with the burrow, able to survive, even turns around for a nice little lick there on top of Diablo, while Poik has to handle the bottom lane. It has Arcaner and Sportbilly attempting to push him back.
7.5 on both sides, 2 kills against Team Dignitas, but still even experience for the 2 teams here. Liquid definitely showing some signs of life though, and I'm really liking that. Zeratul at the top lane, again in trouble, and Whoopi is barely surviving. Mainly because Abathur apparently was not ready with the cooldown on the Symbiote to go in for another Spike Burst. So that could have delivered another kill into the hands of Team Liquid. But as it stands, Dignitas is able to retreat with Zeratul and wait to fight another day. And let's not forget, the whole comp comes online when level 10 hits, and then it comes on hard.
Exactly. Zeratul might be getting bullied in the top lane, but use that as a source of power. You just remember all those poor trades that you have in the early game. For you to move into the mid game, set up with that VP, set up for that combo, and then of course late game, ditch out the damage with that cleave build, finally completing. Dignitas on the other side of the map though, just working on trying to get some damage, and ooh, maybe even getting a kill on Sportbilly here. He goes for the dash, here comes the portal. Will Team Dignitas attempt to chase it? They are, but the big mine from Arcaner may have, he gets away. Sportbilly actually gets out of that fight.
Yeah,
and Diablo's gonna die. No.
No, he's not gonna die, not yet. Eternal takes a bit of damage here, but Arcana with a great mind, man. I just imagine that Whoopi, every single time he plays, has a list right next to him in a little notebook where he puts down names there for people that annoyed him in the early game so he can destroy them later.
Like the
and
guy
he kicks
Billy
them
Madison.
off. Dragon Knight taken regardless, perfect zoning here. Even Abathur on the minimap, just look at the bottom. He tunneled in, trying to get that altar, sorry, the shrine, because they realized how Dignitas' position was set up to get that particular Dragon Knight. And even with Liquid getting these kills, Dignitas has that lean experience. They go for Arcana, the punt, and down he goes. Medivh going for revenge with a really good kick here of the Dragon Knight initiating that kill.
Now the fort will be the next target for Dignitas. They land 10, and it is going to be that VP and Leyline Seal. Leyline Seal coming out straight for Abathur. Abathur actually doesn't step forward and just goes for the straight burrow.
And the Slug just stands there. Gorgeous out on the ley line, but that fort in the mid lane is still history. And with the level 10 now in play, we are seeing Dignitas with the Apocalypse as expected. And they are going to go for this. Already the heroic ability is giving them such a power spike here that Liquid doesn't have, that the second fort falls as well. That game, again, snowballed quickly. All it took was for Dignitas not even to get a kill. They just moved in and took a Dragon Knight, zoning out their opponent in the mid lane and having a smart rotation around the two shrines.
Yeah, you're going to be really happy about that. JPL actually goes in for Murden. He'll be the next target. Full CC train here. Riptire will come out and put some damage in, but Dignitas does not mind. Heals already popping afterwards, and Team Liquid will now have to give up their Giants.
It's amazing how strong Dignitas is. It's really crazy. We sometimes find a few things that we can nitpick over. We were like, yeah, that could have been a little bit better, but it's just really nitpicking on such a high level that it's nearly ridiculous to even mention it. Currently, they are playing so incredibly well that no other team, at least in Europe, can hold a candle to them. And it just shows over and over again. If anything, then they sometimes maybe defeat themselves because they... I don't know, do they take the games lightly? They don't really, but against Granite they dropped one, they didn't get the draft, they tried to play in a Zibo Li Ming composition that didn't work out for them. But it's just incredible how dominant this team is currently in Europe. And again, with games like these and matches like this that we're watching, I just cannot wait to see how they're going to perform at BlizzCon against Korean teams, against Gen G, and against also, of course, the rest of the world.
I can't wait either, but I still have the imagery in my mind of a team walking up to Team Dignitas with an actual candle and Dignitas just blowing it out without any issues after you stated that. Or just picture Twimpy walking up with a little candle and Snitch just blows it out. Because Dignitas has been that quick to extinguish any flame that any team brings near them. Sure, you do get the moments. You mentioned Granite Gaming last week with the one game, but...
It just feels that every single time a team gets a bit of... I don't even want to call it elite, but every time a team has some kind of moment in the game that gives them some hope that this might be different, it just takes them a minute and then they just...
Look at this game. Team Liquid had 2 kills, and next thing you know, Dragon comes out, 2 forts are dead. And that is exceptional for the first Dragon of the game.
And all of that was even without a kill at that moment in time. So now we're having them 2 levels ahead. Liquid had a great early game, and we talked about level 10 abilities coming online. But even before level 10 was there, they get the Dragon Knight because of superior positioning in the middle of the map, because pushing them, the opponent back opened an opportunity, took the Dragon Knight, get 2 forts, are 2 levels ahead, and now we have the heroic abilities in play that offer all that synergy that we highlighted from the get-go would be when they actually come online with that composition. So Liquid is now up against a team that comes into their own. There's an arrow coming through at the top. 7-sided against JPL is negated. Leyline, kind of negating the Apocalypse. That could have been a bit better. But Sport Billy still has to retreat, and that Riptire is very unlikely to get a lot of value.
But Team Liquid did survive, so they're trying to lock down Team Dignitas in the top side. But in the middle, the Dragon has been picked up, and he is flanking.
Exactly. Dragon Knight is taken again, and now we're seeing them moving in even further. Starting to take the last fort down 10 minutes into the game. It's brutal. It's honestly brutal. Dignitas is just looking so strong.
Abathur in the bottom. He is just starting to move. Okay, Medivh just coming down here to soak.
I mean, it's really amazing to me. This team has really found themselves. With all the roster changes that came in after the end of 2017, most of the teams had to readjust their lineup a little bit after the mid-season brawl. There were so many changes because the top 2 teams at the time, Dignitas and Fnatic, for the first time in more than a year, made changes to their roster. So you had a trickle-down effect where every team started to switch out players because, of course, the top teams can draw from any team they want. That creates space and other teams that need to be filled. And Dignitas just found the perfect team lineup, whereas any other team, Fnatic included, had to then reevaluate at the mid-season brawl. Okay, did that lineup really mesh as well as we were hoping for? Is it something where that we can solve with more practice and trying to mesh together better? Or do we actually have to make adjustments because certain role swaps didn't work out and certain players don't really mesh on a personality level with the team? So everyone is still trying, or has been trying, to find themselves and their identity as a team for a long time. And it has definitely improved and made Europe stronger going into Phase 2. But Dignitas, from the get-go, just having the perfect eye for who would work well with the team and getting the best players together is just now so far ahead that they can use that to their advantage in every game. We're seeing the results here. They are amazing.
What's noteworthy about it, too, is they sustain it, right? Method comes in with their change. This is the roster they used to have in the past. They were able to have a couple of marks and keep moving forward, but right now they're running through a little bit of a small rut, right? Trying to figure out who they are, rediscover once again what they want to run as a niche. It's hard to sustain it for so long, but yet Dignitas has been able to pull that off. I mean, Team Liquid, I would argue, this team has been able to find that chemistry and that cohesion that they were looking for, but have even run into a couple of hiccups. I mean, the Western Clash being one of those. So, again, just another statement to where Team Dignitas, and I guess what you would call even almost a legacy here with this roster.
I mean, with Method, it's also one of those points where it simply feels that the third ban has started to hurt them. More so, it's not only the third ban, it's the combination of the third ban and the way that the meta shifted away from certain heroes that were a staple for ADRD in particular, that it made him and the compositions that his team used to play around him a lot more vulnerable. So right now, Dignitas is definitely the team that profits the most from the situation here. And even though Europe as a whole region has grown, no one is as strong as this team that we are seeing with another level lead here. 2 kills against 2, but just running the show completely. And Liquid is throwing everything they have against them. Liquid is still holding on to the game, and they are hoping that they can, in the late game, maybe with the Dehaka as a global in the game, plus the Avatar composition, that is going to be the tool where they can still salvage this game and maybe pressure Team Dignitas.
Yep, it only takes 1 kill here, and they definitely have the ability to do so, especially with Avatar hitting that 16, finishing up that Carapace build, Karazim as well, thinking about maybe even moving into that extra damage on level 16. Should be able to see that pop in, and of course the endless nades. So Team Liquid, while they have been hurting, they are hanging in there. 16's right around the corner for them. Be able to soak that up, and it comes at a really good time with these shrines being activated. Muradin will hold the middle lane until that 16 does connect for them.
Snitch is currently sitting on 19 stacks for Medivh, so he has still not completed the quest talent. The same is also true for Muradin, who has 20 stacks accumulated on his Stormbolt quest, so 5 away from getting that cooldown reduction on the auto attacks and the Pierce. The Dragon Knight would go a long way for Liquid. They have 16 now, Cleansing Touch is available for them, so that's definitely going to help around Apocalypse plays in particular, and also the arrow if Karazim can stay out of that.
Another attendance Fort Billy, and nothing really shows itself. Junkrat jumping around the map in the bottom should be able to take down that shrine, so it's all about dancing here, trying to maybe catch Dignitas slipping. But who are you gonna catch, right? Possibly Hanzo would be the main one you would look forward to, but you have to watch out for both the VP and the leyline seal.
I think Liquid just simply has to go for a fight again, because I don't think playing that long game is something they can afford to do. They tried that in the previous games, it didn't really work out. Once the Dignitas has level 20, you have a very tough time to make any kind of play. So before that, that's when you have to really make your move, and they're already trying. Neuro going in with a Cleansing Touch, as we're seeing JPL aim for that engage. But at the top lane, we still have Eternal on Dehaka, just taking over control of one of the shrines. So Liquid is playing around Dignitas now. The question is simply, how long can you really do that? I mean, you have the global aspect. That's worth a lot. It gives you also the mobility on the map for later. But here comes again Muradin, and he is down. That arrow, not even needed, was aimed to secure the kill, but Muradin is already dead as the arrow is just on the way.
There's already heading the top lane. This will be a third dragon for Dignitas if they can grab it. And considering what they did with the first couple of dragons, they can definitely take a keep here and maybe even think about looking towards the core.
Dignitas coordination makes Muradin look like a squishy backliner. That's basically what happened here throughout those games. This is the 3rd game in a row where Muradin has been picked by Sport Billy. They really believe in that hero, and the sustain that Muradin has. I mean, just look at that build.
Yeah.
You have 3rd Wind, you're having the healing static synergy with your level 4, and the Stormform to boot. And still, every time you're seeing these fights, Avatar or no Avatar, he pops Avatar, he goes into Stormform, and they still blow him up. They always find that CC chain, and it's perfectly executed, where Muradin is just stun locked. It's the same as if Billy would take his hands away from the keyboard. It's just like, oh guys, my hero doesn't work anymore, by the way, I can't move him. And then he just dies. It really makes him look like he's a squish, like, it makes him look like Murky, basically. It's just it's insta-death.
Well, we'll see if Muradin can handle any more team fights, because they have about one more chance for 20 hits for Team Dignitas. Team Liquid steps up, and they start to defend against their key, but Dignitas, they want this infrastructure. There it goes. Catapult pressure in the bottom lane. Giants to help out, too. And they also land a level 20. And Wubby, he is looking for that VP, so Team Liquid is trying to stay split.
20 Storm Talons. The combo is fully online. All the cooldowns are ready. They can go for the Void Prison. They can go for the Apocalypse. The ley line is ready. APOC comes in. JPL makes the move. Again, they're going for the backline on Norok. And Norok goes down. Karazim eliminated. The ley line used against Arcana. The core already falling. Team Dignitas with another victory as 3-0 against the number 2 in the standings as Team Liquid goes down against the number 1 in EU.
Dignitas showing why they are looking to be some of the favorites coming out of Europe as we head into a BlizzCon in a few weeks. A quick 3-0 over Team Liquid. And was there even a moment in this entire series that you felt like Team Liquid had a chance to break them?
I mean, they got the 2 kills in the early game. That's one moment of doubt that you have. But then it was always with the mindset, wait until the combo is online on 10. But Dig didn't even need the combo on 10. They got the first Dragon Knight before that happened just because... And that's the funny thing. It wasn't because they won a team fight. It's because they moved better on the map. They simply took 2 temples or 2 shrines, rotated very nicely into the middle of the lane, and then zoned out for the Dragon Knight to be taken. Exploited that Abathar doesn't have that extra body at that moment in time on the map. And this team is just insanely strong.
It came to preparation, prepping the lanes, right? Zeratul, we mentioned a couple times getting picked in the top lane, but that was due to Karazim rotating up there. You would have the Abathar hats there, and so suddenly now Dignitas says, okay, well, if we have our Zeratul constantly being picked off, let's just open up the turrets in the middle and the bottom lane. That's what resulted them into taking those forts later on. So again, it's that trade-off that Dignitas just always finds the upper hand on. It seems like a scale just can't be balanced against them.
I'm already thinking really about setups for BlizzCon, and I want to see, for example, are we going to see a bootcamp for Dignitas? I mean, the question to that, the answer to that should be yes. Question is, like, where do you bootcamp? Because we're now getting in that interesting setup where, do you go to Korea for the bootcamp? Do the Koreans, as back then they were talking about at some point, go to Europe for the bootcamp? But does everybody just agree, okay, we're going to meet in North America early? Because we had a couple of events where the European teams would go to Korea first, would bootcamp there, and then go over to North America. And it's always that weird thing where you have to deal with 3 time zones that you hop through. Does that have an effect on you? Can you really space that out in a way that you can always adjust to them? But yeah, that's going to be incredibly interesting how that's going to work once that BlizzCon is around the corner, because at this point, this is what I really want to see. I want to see Dignitas go up against the best in the world. I want them against Gen G again.
Let's just do a show match. Let's ask Josh.
That's the 42.
Let's make it happen. Dignitas gets a 3-0 today, and we're going to be interviewing them pretty soon here to get a feel of how they felt this match went for them. For me on Team Liquid side, again, I mentioned it in the middle of the broadcast, but a little bit disappointed. I was really hoping that I could have a little bit more fight. Granted, it is against Dignitas, but I want to see a couple more teams be able to start moving towards that area of being able to compete at the level of what Dignitas can show here at the HGC. And with them having such clear showings over both Roll20 and Granite Gaming, kind of missed out a little bit